What's going on, guys? It's another cold one at the shop, but you just gotta keep grinding. So E36 behind me. I want to do a quick little update and talk about some of the stuff that we do on these damn race cars. So we got the main hoop in there, got that started, the seats in here all covered up with the steering wheel so we can figure out the seating position. We do that so we can figure out our harness bars, what clearances we have. So got all the measurements taken so the seat can come back out and we can finish prepping. I want to do kind of a quick update on what I've been doing for the past couple weeks. I haven't been really filming. It's just a lot of grind work, literally. I decided to grind all the undercoating off this car. These BMWs come with a decent amount of undercoating. Some areas it's even, you know, 1/8 of an inch thick. And while we're welding on some of the stuff, like over here, when we cut the wheel wells and we were welding, this was all full of undercoating and it was catching on fire really easily. So that was very annoying. So I thought about it. These things, you know, will get a tire fire pretty often from the tires being really hot, and you get a lot of chunks from the tires while drifting. And also, you know, these cars, you'll get an oil leak or a fuel leak once in a while. Things just happen and you'll get a small fire, and I didn't want a small fire to turn into a really big fire. So I made the decision to just go ahead and grind all the undercoating off this thing, every little spot. So I'm going to show you guys all the spots that I did. These wheel wells, it was all full of undercoating. Every single wheel well, the back over here, all the seam seals. The seam sealer is just so we can stitch weld, and I'll get to that in a little bit. All the interior, the seam sealer here. This will just make life a lot easier while we do the fab work on the car. And also down the road, it's just gonna be better if we have, you know, small fires so the whole thing doesn't just catch on fire, because that undercoating stuff just catches on fire and it doesn't go out, it just stays on. It's pretty bad. So yeah, this is about 3 weeks worth of grinding with the wire wheel. You can see even in there. So I'll put the car up to show you guys the underneath. I want to go up too high, but all the underside here, this has all been ground out. This was all undercoated, so we can also see some of the rust areas that we can fix. Not a lot. Some holes like this that would be hiding under the undercoating. So this was the worst part right here, with all the little crevices and all the little areas. I think I spent about 2 to 3 days just working on this, but it's all nice and cleaned up now, ready to be stitch welded, primered, and painted, and it's gonna be really nice. So I'm gonna give you guys a little update on some of the other things that we're working on. So at some point, the engine, we'll go through it a little bit. We're gonna add a little bit of mechanical timing on it. We're gonna go through it. Doesn't have a whole lot of run time on it, but we're still gonna go through, check the tolerances on the crank bearings, go through some of the stuff, get the injectors cleaned up and flow tested, so they'll be, we get closer to finishing. Been acquiring a lot of parts. Got the ER coilovers. I waited for those for quite a while. Got the FDF angle kit here with the quicker ratio steering rack, all ready to go back in. We'll just get the subframe either painted or powder coated. It'd be really nice. So this will be real nice to get it in there. All right, got the axles for the quick change. Here's the bad johnny right here. So right now we're working on getting the quick change mocked up into the rear subframe. So we already did some cutting here. This will all be reinforced. This is quite a project because this has to hold about 1,000 horsepower. So it needs to be pretty sturdy in here. So we'll have a plate. It will be reinforced throughout here. So the quick change is a big deal. It needs to be mounted in there pretty good because this is a pretty expensive piece of equipment, and we can't have it falling out of here and twisting and breaking it. So got some brand new hubs for the car. That way we get it rolling nice and smooth. Got this rear brace that'll go on rear shock towers, and it'll brace up to the subframe as well from the top. This is the only one you're allowed to run. So this will add a lot more bracing to this thing so it don't twist. So this is a nice piece of kit. So stitch welding isn't just on drift cars. Rally cars get stitch welded, drag cars get stitch welded, because of the high horsepower, the whole chassis wants to twist. It'll just keep it nice and rigid. For rally cars and circuit racing, they see a lot of jumps in rally. In circuit racing, it's a lot of G-forces. The chassis wants to twist, and also high horsepower applications and some of the higher level stuff there. So in our case, I wanted to talk about it. So we do a lot of the key areas, like this is the shock tower right here being stitch welded. This is for a lot of reasons. So this is just for impacts. We want to keep it nice and true. It'll help keep the chassis nice and sturdy. In case of an impact, you get all the center sections done. Even on the interior here, and the wheel well gets stitch welded. We see some jumps in some tracks, but this is mainly for impact and high horsepower application. So this will all get stitch welded in those areas where the subframe is going to be. It's got the diff mounted on there, so when we're going handbrake pull, clutch kick, and you're trying to put down 700-800 horsepower to the wheels from 0 to 120, that's a lot of shock and twist motion onto the chassis. So this will all help. Even in the front here, do the frame rails here, the shock towers. This is in case of a side impact. This will all get reinforced as well because it's an E36. So when you're taking bumps to the shock tower, it'll really help keep everything nice and sturdy. So this has all been kind of treated already to not rust. All of the subframes on the bottom here, all the seams will get stitch welded. Yeah, I don't see a whole lot of people kind of talk about this stuff, so it's been very interesting for me while we're building this thing. It's kind of a lot of first time things because it's higher horsepower, higher level. So it's been really interesting learning a lot of this stuff, so I kind of want to share it with you guys. And it does add a lot of work, a lot of time into the chassis. This is some of the stuff that makes these cars cost so much. You see guys talking about their FD cars or their in general race cars on a higher level. They talk about it costing $100,000 to $200,000, and you're like, well, you try to add up all the parts, and it's not that much in parts, but it's all the fab work that ends up costing that much because of the time and the money. And this is 90% of the build is all the fab work. Once the car is stitch welded, it's got occasion and we can start paint prepping. Once it's painted, it's just bolt on parts, and it shouldn't be more than a month to be finished. But you know, there's 2-3 months worth of, you know, fab work if you're kind of doing it on your own, like how I'm doing it. You know, most, you know, if you got a fab shop doing it with a couple of guys, they can finish a car in a month and a half. So yeah, I really wanted to share this with you guys. And if you didn't know, you know, about Stitch Welding, now you know what it looks like. It's actually pretty cool looking. If you didn't know what Stitch Welding is, just didn't really know why people do it. You've seen it on cars and you're like, oh, this looks cool, or didn't even recognize it. So next time you see it, like a race car or a higher level race car, either it's rally, FD, drag car, just look out for all the cool looking like stitch weld. It's pretty neat, and the idea behind it is pretty cool. You know, I never thought about, you know, stitch welding a car. I usually, you know, most of what I've done before on like a street car or mild drift build would be like a chassis brace that goes here on the shock towers and on the front. So this is very interesting to me. So yeah, it's pretty simple. These unibody cars and most cars are kind of put together with just a bunch of panels that are spot welded. Like you can see the spot welds here, the stock spot welds, and they're all just spot welded on. So as the chassis, you know, sees high torque or sees a lot of G-force and crazy movements, all these panels, they're on there pretty good, but all these little areas, they're gonna start wanting to kind of move, and we want it to stay as rigid as possible. So yeah, this is pretty gnarly stuff. So you can see here, this is all, like you can see the seam. I wanted to get this one because it's nice and raw. It hasn't been painted or nothing yet. So you see all the seams here, and we'll just go in there and spot weld. Some don't go as crazy as this, but we're trying to, in these key areas, we want to go as much as we can, especially on the E36, as they're known for these strut towers to kind of be weaker. So this will all get plated as well. So yeah, it's the little things that make a big difference. You can see, like, pretty much it's just, you just get on there and it's almost like a spot weld that's done by a MIG welder, and you're just trying to bond these two seams together in, you know, about an inch spacing, instead of just having a bunch of spot welds that are a lot weaker. So yeah, this is stitch welding. It's pretty cool. You know, I mainly wanted to do an update. I haven't, you know, been posting a lot on this build, like I say, because I've been doing all the undercoating and I didn't want to film a lot of that stuff. It was just a pain, and I was not in the best mood doing that stuff, and I did not feel like picking up the camera. So I figured I'll just get it over with, do an update, and then the stitch welding thing came up, and I was like, man, this is so cool, and I wanted to share it. So yeah, this is a quick little update for you guys. I hope, you know, you got to see some cool stuff out of it. And I'll film. I don't do the stitch welding. I tried. My buddy Bob was trying to teach me how to do it, and I am just not that good. He taught me how to weld, and I could just do some stuff, but when it comes to this stitch welding, it's just a lot more tedious. You need to be careful. Some of the areas that does not bare metal, so the weld doesn't take very well, so you need to know what you're doing as far as welding goes to be able to do it right. So I try to help here and there and try to learn, but he's mainly doing a lot of that stuff, so I'll try to kind of get a couple of shots if we get some more stitch welding done today. It doesn't take a whole lot of time. It goes by pretty quick, but it's still time consuming. Like if you want to do a whole car and that's all you did that day, you can get it done within a day and a half. So yeah, I'll try to film some of it, get Bob's input on it a little bit, and then I'm also gonna be doing some paint prepping as well. So I'll try to film some of the paint prep. It's just, you know, mainly the parts that are still painted on the car, whatever is still left of it. I'm gonna start sanding down some of the areas, clearing up some of the areas. That way, you know, while he's working on stitch welding and on the cage, I can get some of the paint stuff worked on, and once all the fab work's done, you know, all the paint prep is done, and we can start painting it. So that's gonna be a really exciting video. Hopefully today is the 27th of January. I'm hoping within the next 3 to 4 weeks all the fab work can be done, because we still have to mount the quick change with the subframe, get all the engine, transmission, get a driveline angle done, and all the fab work done. So it's a lot of stuff that still needs to be done, but I'm hoping within the next 3 to 4 weeks. That way we can finish prepping it and it gets painted, because once it's painted, you know, it just start bolting everything back on it, all the nice parts, and you know, it'll be done pretty quick. So I'm looking forward to that point where it gets painted and I get to show you guys the color that this thing is gonna be. So it's pretty cold in the shop, so I decided to do something that required me to keep moving. So I kind of started sanding down the car, getting it paint prepped. So did most of the roof here, sides. I'm gonna finish up on the outside here and slowly work my way to the inside, and then I'll do the underside as well. All right, got some more sanding done. Got a little carried away in some spots, but I'll make Bob fix it.
Is it too early in the video to swear?
Huh?
Nothing.
Oh, it's too, yeah. No, go ahead. Yeah, just got some of the clear coat off. I got sick of looking at the old paint. Bob got some more stitch welding done. This thing looks like a tank in the back now. Yeah. Oh, the stitch weld. You got any inputs on the stitch welding? I was explaining how, you know, why we stitch weld, why race cars get stitch welded.
Rigidity.
Yeah, keep them more rigid.
But a big factor for me, especially in the drifting side of things, is the fact that these cars do tend to get hit in competition and take some, some impacts and stuff like that. It'll keep panels together a lot better, make it a lot easier for your frame guy to be able to pull everything back, because the damage won't travel as far through the chassis, except when you really, really do screw up, and then it's pretty much game over.
Yeah.
Then it's just junk.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I talked about earlier when I was talking about stitch welding. It's just so, like, from high horsepower applications, it doesn't get all, twisted, and then for impacts, and that's why you see it not just like in drifting, you see it on all race cars, drag racing too. Yeah,
you see it a lot in autocross, SCCA cars, Spec Miata, that type of stuff. You'll see a lot of it.
Yeah. So, I hope that gives you guys a little bit more of an idea of the stitch welding, why we do it. If you guys have ever seen it, that's what it is for. If you already knew what it was all about and you have some input on it, let me know. If I sound like a dumbass talking about it, but I mean, I just wanted to kind of do a little quick update and talk about some of the stuff we're doing, and in the process also give the people that don't know too much about building race cars, a little bit of an insight and it's also cool to me because I've never done it, so I'm learning and I want to share it. But we ended up getting the whole front end edge primered, that way all the bare metal.
Really, we're just trying to protect the surface, and also it's just kind of like laying down the groundwork for everything that we're going to build off of. You know, if we get it sanded down and prepped now, as we continue to do fab, the surface is already pretty much prepped and ready. So as we keep adding more and more tabs and brackets and things in the way, it just gets harder and harder to keep getting in there to sand stuff. So if we do it while it's wide open, it's going to be a lot easier just to take care of it now, while we can still get power tools in there and still get our big paws in there to be able to get in there, and it still ends up cutting you all to hell. But
Yeah, so it's nice and one color now. Looks really cool. So yeah, got all the bare metal covered up, and we'll continue to do the same thing throughout the car as we stitch weld. A lot of it is bare metal, so cover it up with edge primer. That way, you know, as the cage gets built, we mock up all the drive line and all that. It's, you know, it's gonna be in the coming weeks, so we don't have to sit there and worry about it rusting. We also got all the front wheel wells done, same thing. So yeah, as we go, start from the back now and do the same thing, do the interior. That way we don't have to worry about it. Like in here, it started already, surface rust. So, you know, we can do this and not have to worry about how long, you know, it's gonna take. So, we'll slowly do I'll probably work on the outside a little bit too. All right, so I'm gonna close this one out here. Next couple weeks, I'll do some updates as we go. We get the rest of the stitch welding done. Get the cage in there, get some drive line mocked up. So you guys look out for those future videos. Trying to get better at filming. It just sometimes it gets a little overwhelming with trying to, you know, film in here and get stuff done, and with the cold and all that, it's just kind of crazy. But I'll try to get better at it. But yeah, I hope you guys got some information out of it. Got a little update for people who are asking, you know, what's going on with this thing. So we're grinding away. Hopefully, you know, here in the next couple months, we get her done. So I'll see you guys in the next one.